Welcome to Backstage with Becca with special guest Lyndie Moe. Hi everyone, and welcome to this episode of Backstage with Becca. On this episode, after starting out yodeling as a kid, she found out she had a passion for singing and performing, moved to Delaware, and participated in her first theater show. Currently, you can catch her on the Rent tour, where she plays Maureen. Please welcome Lyndie Moe. How have you been?
It's been good.
It's been a weird time.
Oh, yes, it has been a very weird time. I'm definitely happy to be back, and I'm happy to be in Chicago. It's really nice.
Oh, and you just reopened the tour the other day on Tuesday, or was it?
Tuesday, yes, Tuesday.
So how was that?
It was, oh my gosh, it was actually incredible. There was this, before the show started, we all came on stage and the lights were all still on, and then everybody stood up in the house and clapped for 2 minutes, and that has never happened before.
Oh,
I know.
Is back.
Yes.
It's so special to be part of bringing a show, especially a show with as big of a name as Rent back.
Yes.
I went to the first performance of Wicked, and that was also huge. And it was like a 5-minute applause when Glenda entered the stage.
Oh my gosh. Wait, where did you see it?
In Dallas.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that was
really
so good.
So, have you always known you wanted to be a theater performer? And if not, when was the moment that you realized?
This is a fun question. I did not always know that. I grew up in Kansas, at first, so I was yodeling a lot. So I thought I was gonna be this big yodel star at one point in my life. And then I moved to Delaware and did my first show, and I was like, I really like this. And it was Scrooge. And so that's when the shift happened.
Okay, so you went to the East Coast area, and you're like, okay,
yes,
surrounded by more theater.
Yes.
But I bet the yodeling helps you with vocal control, kind of, in a way.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I definitely learned how to flip registers at a very young age.
Yeah, it takes a certain technique.
Yes.
What was the first theater show that you ever saw when you were like, I want to be doing that on stage one day?
The first show I ever saw was Beauty and the Beast, but I didn't have that feeling. Honestly, this is gonna sound so cliche, but I do feel like it was Wicked.
I mean, I think it is for a lot of people.
It was I watched it and was woo! And then I listened to Defying Gravity the whole way home and was crying out, looking out the window.
I'm gonna do this one day.
Yes.
Yes. I feel like that, I mean, that's a normal answer, pretty much. Because it's a show that you go and see and you're like, okay, this is live theater.
You're this is insane.
Yeah, this is live theater. So growing up, how did you work on becoming a well-rounded theater performer?
I have to give my mom a lot of credit because she was signing me up for all of these classes, and I did not want to go to all of them, but I'm happy she forced me to go because now I'm thankful for it. But definitely that.
Yeah. She's like, here, you're talented. Let's go take classes and learn more.
Yes, and I'm but I just wanna stay at home.
Was she kind of the one who was like, you can sing?
Yes. My grandpa is actually an NBA coach, so she when I was 6, she was trying to get me to sing the anthem at his games. So I was 6 or 7 the first time I did it. And she was like, you gotta do it. And she's always taking videos of me and sending it to people. So she definitely was the one that was keep going.
Oh my goodness. And I was doing research last night, and I saw that you did 1 year of college before getting cast in Rent.
Yeah, yeah.
Where did you go for that 1 year of college, and how did that prepare you for the audition and to be on the tour of Rent?
So I went to Rider University, which is in New Jersey, and I was actually transferring to Temple, like
Okay.
for the following year, still for a BFA in theater, but I ended up obviously not doing that. But I think the biggest thing I took out of that was my voice teacher. And her name was Gwen Walker, and she taught me how to kind of just sing healthy and the tips and tricks on how to really be in your body when you sing. And if I didn't have her as a teacher, I don't think I would have been able to maybe get the role or sustain the role. So I'm very grateful for that.
I have a question about that later, because you've been doing this role for a while and it's not an easy role.
No, no.
But what was your audition process like for Ren?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I went to an open call with a whole group of my friends. So it was like we woke up at like 3 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
And we got there, we waited in line, we did the whole thing. Then I got a call back and I kept getting callbacks. And then there was like this 3-month period where I heard nothing. And I was like, I'm cut, I'm not in it. And then I got a call randomly and they were like, do you want to come to the final callback? And I was like, okay. And then voila.
Oh, what was your reaction? Were you a fan of the show before?
I didn't know it as well as some people knew it.
Okay.
So as soon as I actually learned it and dove into the material, I became a super fan. But my reaction, like when I found out I did get the role, I was like, what? Like I honestly didn't believe it at first. But
because I'm sure like people around you were like, Ren, like that's a huge deal.
Yes, yeah, they were.
And yeah, and you were like, oh, is it?
I'm like, what? Rent? I'm going on a tour? What?
What? Is this a dream? It's interesting you say that you weren't as big of a fan before, or didn't know about a lot about the show before, because I was talking to someone who was in Les Mis the other day who was the same thing with Les Mis. Didn't know much about Les Mis before.
Yeah, it's interesting.
So you never know. And I bet that's the way that the rehearsal process, in a way, kind of.
Yes.
During rehearsal process, did it help to be kind of a little more unfamiliar with the role than familiar with the role that you were playing?
Well, by the time we got to rehearsal process, I was sort of already watching like the movie on repeat and like the Broadway show on repeat. So I was familiar with, like, I showed up to the first day of rehearsal, like kind of knowing what the show was and what I had to do. But since I hadn't made very strong opinions about the whole show, having like the creative team share exactly what everything meant, it really helped.
And does it help? How did you make the role your own during rehearsal process? Because I'm sure that helped to not have the strong opinions. That's a good way to say it. Of
yes. I think one of the reasons why I did get this role was because like I went to the callback not really knowing like the original and how they did Over the Moon and things. So I sort of just brought a lot of myself into it, because I was like, how would Lyndie do this monologue? Like how, and that's I think the reason like why they were interested at first. So I think that definitely helped in a sense, because I wasn't like tied into the original blocking or anything, but
yeah. Did they make you go in to the audition and do the whole Over the Moon scene?
For like, I'm gonna say the first callback we just had to do Take Me or Leave Me, but the one after, yeah, they were like, all right, go ahead. I prepared the whole thing, but they stopped like halfway through.
Oh my goodness! Because I don't know how you even how fast did you have that memorized? And what's the technique for having that scene memorized?
Oh my gosh. I need to think back to when I first memorized it because now it's like ingrained in my
Yeah.
skull. um, I think I just kept like watching, no, not watching. I think I just kept reading it and like doing it. Like I just kept doing it over and over again. And I would record myself doing it. And then I would listen to it or watch myself and also watch the script to see if I did it all correct. And that sort of helped a lot.
I mean, and you're not only memorizing it, you're also acting through it, so that adds a whole other challenge.
Yes, yes, it does. It does, and singing. It's like a
Yeah,
whole
and
thing.
singing. Oh my goodness. Like,
But
I'm
it's
stressing out. Can't
I
imagine.
think that's wait, what were you saying?
I said, can't imagine having to remember all that for an audition.
Oh, yeah. I remember the night before, I was just like doing it over and over again in my dorm room, like last night. Like it was just, it was really fun though. I think I was a lot more excited to do it because it's like Maureen's monologue is so crazy and wacky. So I was a lot more excited to do it than I was stressed or nervous.
So was it cool because you mentioned Wicked was that show that you were like, okay, that's the show that I fell in love with theater, like the whole life theater aspect during. Was it cool knowing that you were going on tour playing a part that Idina had previously played?
Oh, 1000%. I was like, oh my gosh. And our creative team actually like worked with her and knows her. So like it's so crazy when they just like say little things about her or like stories. I'm like, how are you acting like this is normal? I don't understand.
You're like, how is this? Like, this is a big deal.
Yes.
Oh. So, do you remember the day you made your Maureen debut, and what was it like? Was it just like, did you black out during it? Were you like, is this real? What is happening?
I remember, well, my Maureen debut was also like my national tour debut.
Yeah.
So I remember it was like the preview was the first real one. Like we have two previews and then opening officially, but the previews like there's a live audience and that always feels like an opening. Yeah, I do remember. I remember being backstage like, oh my gosh, I'm about to be making my like national tour debut. I like Maureen and like Rent. I remember my heart going like crazy, crazy fast. But I mean, it all worked out. Like nothing crazy happened, but maybe a little too much adrenaline.
The set for Rent like really makes you feel like you're kind of in the movie. To be honest.
Yes, yes, yeah. It feels cool. Feels cool.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, this is huge. You can like
Yeah, first time.
watch the
Wait,
show.
what?
Like, oh, it's so like the set is so well done.
The first time I saw it, I was like, what? Like this is it's like the same one as the Broadway version too. So
Yeah.
it's just it really was crazy like seeing everything in person, like touching it.
Yeah, it's amazing. I saw the tour in 2019, and I was like,
Oh, nice.
oh, at Pantages.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so exciting.
It was actually, I think, my first time seeing Rent live. Besides the Rent live at
On Fox.
I saw that. I went to that year.
You went to the front live?
Yeah, to the dress rehearsal for Rent Live, which ended up being the actual taping for the actual thing for Rent Live, because
Yeah, because of the ankle. Wait, that's so cool. What was that like?
It was very fun. It was very like TV like because they were like getting direction and refilming stuff, and then he got hurt, and we were just sitting there for like 30 minutes waiting to see what was happening, and no one really knew he got hurt.
Wait, when did he get hurt? Like
Right before the last scene, I believe.
oh, that's so unfortunate.
Yeah. It was horrible. And we didn't know. We were like, why has this paused for like 30 minutes?
You're like, is this another intermission?
Yeah, and then like Mark Platt comes out and is like, hey, so it was nuts. But that was I think my first experience seeing Rent live. I had seen the movie before.
Nice.
But so how do you think you're like Maureen, and how do you think you're different from Maureen?
I think I'm like her in the passionate part about everything she does. Like, she really cares about things, and she's always like balls to the walls about things. And I think I'm like her in that way. The way that I think I'm different, I think she's extremely confident and she's a little bit selfish. And I don't think I possess those character traits like fully. I wish I had more of the confidence trait from her. So when I'm like performing, I'm like making the most of that because I'm like, I am Maureen right now, so I need to dig into these like things.
Yes, I was gonna say I wish I was as her because that would really help in life.
Wait, you wish you were what?
As confident as her.
Oh, yes, it would help so much in life.
That would be a lifesaver because I don't know, confidence is not really my thing, which is one of my later questions in the interview. But how do you think your portrayal of Maureen has changed from pre-pandemic to now?
Oh, I feel a lot more grounded. I feel a lot more like real. Although like my real before the pandemic still was very real to me, and I still felt like I was extremely grounded. But like the pandemic was so hard, and everyone experienced like loss in some way or another. So just going into it this year, it's a whole new perspective, which I didn't even know that I would have. So I would say that.
I mean, it's like an eye-opening perspective because like nothing like this has ever happened in our lives before.
Yes, I agree.
We haven't had a year like without live theater, without like social interactions with people, etc. Which it was nuts. So I mentioned earlier the vocal parts that you sing when you're playing Maureen. It's like it's no joke playing that character. How do you keep you've been doing it since 2017? How do you keep your voice healthy while on the road performing and doing multiple shows a week?
Water is number one for me. I do at least a gallon a day if I have a show. Sometimes if I'm feeling up for it, I'll do like 1.5 or 2. There was one time I did 3 gallons. And then I texted my mom. I was like, I just drank 3 gallons of water, like kind of like happy for myself. And then she was like, sent me an article like teen dies from drinking too much water. I was like, why? No. But yeah, I would say that and warming up are two big things.
But I imagine it's still like with traveling and stuff, like that adds a whole different thing too. Because you all are sometimes staying in the city for a longer period of time. But I was looking at the tour schedule and it's just sometimes like one day in the city and then you go to the next city and the next day.
Yes. I think the hardest part for me is finding a space where I can just warm up like without anybody around. I think that would be the hardest part. Because when we're traveling on the bus or something, as long as I have my water in a little bathroom so I can pee, I'll be fine.
Yeah, but it's like where can I get like the private space to just
right.
vocal warm-ups?
I agree.
Yes. So if you could duet Take Me or Leave Me with any past Joanne, who would it be?
What the heck? This is such a good question. I might have to just say Freddie Walker.
Ooh, Oh.
I really liked her in that. I really liked the original, how her and Idina sang that together. I was like, it's just intense.
Like, when people say God tier, that is it.
Yes, I agree.
So, what is the most beneficial thing that you've learned from life on the road and from touring?
That life goes by pretty quickly, I would say. And I think I'm very aware of that when I'm on the tour. Like when I'm at home, I might not be doing that much. So like life will seem like it's slow, but then all of a sudden, like the next month has passed. So I feel like I've learned that. I've also feel like I've learned a lot about different like cities and different like people and like what my body can do. And it's all very like astonishing how much like things that we can do that we had no idea about. Like I feel like we always say that I don't know how to put this. I feel like we always say that we can't do something, but in reality, like you can.
And then we take it for granted sometimes.
Yeah, yes.
Do you have a favorite city that you all have stopped in so far?
On this tour?
Or
in any?
Since 2017, which I mean, I feel like that's a lot of cities.
I'm gonna have to say Japan.
Ooh.
Japan. I
So
really liked that. I also really liked San Francisco too.
That's epic that you all got to go to Japan. What are the audiences over there like?
Oh my gosh, they're insane. They really do go insane. I think it switches, like the American tour goes there 1 year and then it's the Japanese version, I think. Don't quote me on that. I really don't. I know it's a different version though, and so they switch back and forth between the two productions, and they're huge rent heads, like seriously huge rent heads.
I mean, I feel like Japan like really appreciates the arts in a way that, I mean, I feel like we appreciate the arts here in the United States, but Japan, like, it's like 10 times as much.
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes.
Did you all get to go sightseeing in Japan when you all were there?
Yes.
Oh, important. What was
mainly during the week? Oh, sorry, what? Wait, what was what?
What was the best place you all went in Japan?
Oh, honestly, there was this like sports like complex, and it had like a roller rink, it had like batting cages, it had like a volleyball net, basketball net, it had an arcade, then it had this soccer field. And I would say we all went as a cast, and I think that was like one of the best nights of my life.
Oh goodness. How long were you all there? Because I did see
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Oh, nice. That's so special because I feel like most of the tours that are out don't, like, they go to Canada maybe, but not as far as Japan.
Right, I agree. So
it's like a whole travel experience.
Yeah.
So why do you think Rent is still such a beloved show to this day? Because people love it.
Yeah, well, I think it's just extremely relatable. Like, I think you can find yourself in a lot of the characters, and I think like the material in it is hard. Like, it's hard things to talk about and go through. So seeing a show where people are talking about that, or where people are doing things that might be difficult to do by yourself, it's a nice feeling, and I think a lot of people want to relate to a community or something like that.
How would you convince people to come see the tour if they haven't gotten to see it already?
I would tell them that if you need a reminder or a push of what life should be about and what you should focus on, Rent would be the one to really ground you into that and remind you of a few important life lessons.
Yes, a lot of important life lessons, I feel like.
Yes.
I mean, and if you need to like reminisce about like the past year, about like 2020, beginning of 2020,
Yes.
like it would.
Yes, I agree.
To just like cry and stuff too. All the emotions. If you could revive any musical and be in it, what would it be?
If I could devise or revive? Oh, okay. I could revive any musical. I don't know, I'm a little stumped here. What, I can't even think of musicals that aren't here.
If you could be in a present one, what would it be?
Oh my gosh. Well, obviously Rent, but I feel like that's a cop out. I always struggle with this question. I am going to say Mean Girls. I'll say Mean Girls.
Okay. Hey. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm excited to see it when it comes through whichever city I'm gonna be in when it resumes on tour.
Yeah, it's or Les Mis, honestly.
Yes, I mean like iconic. So
it is.
And Mean Girls has such like great songs.
Yes, I like that.
Oh my goodness. Who's someone in the theater industry who you look up to?
I had a list that I remember looking at, but for some reason, Bernadette Peters is coming to my head right now, but it could be because I did a whole PowerPoint on her in high school.
Oh,
but she has sort of paved her way in this industry, and I think that's really inspirational.
Yeah, she's still in it and so involved in the industry.
Yeah, I agree. I'm pretty sure I just saw her at the Tonys.
Yeah, like she was. I was like, oh. And she just seems like such a cool person.
Yes.
So, what's the funniest thing that's ever happened to you on stage that maybe wasn't funny at the time, but you can look back and laugh about it now?
Well, this actually was funny at the time because like I can't believe this happened. I remember I was in like Rochester, New York, doing a show, and I was lowering myself under Elsie's udder, and just my pants just ripped all the way through, like top of butt crack to bottom of butt crack, and then I had to wear like these huge like pants for La Vie Boheme, and I had to finish Over the Moon with just my butt out for the cast to see. So probably that.
You're like, oh. But you knew that it was happening the whole time, so it wasn't like something you got off stage and people were like, hey.
No, I felt it. As soon as I went down, it was like a rip, like it was a huge rip sound. And then I felt like the breeze.
You're like, good, this is going good. This show's going great right now.
Yeah.
How do you switch, going back to Rent real quick, how do you switch from, because Maureen does have some scenes where some comedic scenes, but then some more emotional scenes in the show. How do you switch from comedic to those emotional scenes?
I think as soon as I hear like the material that's happening, like if Collins is singing something, I like to be very present in the moment. So like once the comedic is done, like it's done, and then I'm in this new emotion, I'm in this new scene. So I would say by just looking at my surroundings and like hearing what everyone's saying.
How do you work on staying present during the I'll Cover You reprise? Because I feel like that is very difficult, and that's actually from my friend Brian, who's a huge fan of Rent, wanted to know that.
So how do I stay
How do you stay present during the I'll cover you?
present? Okay. Well, some nights I will let myself go like to the fullest extent that of emotions that I feel because I just need to do it. And I'll be like, I'll just be crying and everything. But other nights it can be really difficult to continuously reach that level of like pain or loss or something. So I'll find a part of me that's like feeling emotional or sad during the reprise, but I can't allow myself to like really dig into that because I feel like that's just not healthy
Yeah.
for anyone really to have to do that all the time. But it is always a really sad moment for me. Like I'm always feeling sad in that time.
I was saying when my friend sent me that question, I was like, that's a good question. Like, how do you not just like break down during that scene?
Yeah, it's hard. It can be hard sometimes.
Yeah, like just knowing what it's about. And I mean, All Cover You is one of the best songs in the show, in my opinion. Like it gives me chills the first time.
Yes,
And when
I
it
agree.
happens, I'm just like, wow. I don't even have to be watching it. I could just be listening to the soundtrack and I'm a disaster.
That's very real.
Yeah. I feel like that happens to a lot of people, hopefully, not just me. So, how do you work on self-confidence in such a tough industry? Because the theater industry and the entertainment industry is tough. Like you're going in for auditions, you don't get you don't get yeses you want all the time. But when you do, it's exciting.
Yes, I'm still trying to figure that out. If I'm being like completely honest, I think everyone also is feeling some type of way about that. Like I don't think anyone has like I don't know balls of steel. I don't know why that quote pops into my mind, but I think the main thing is like you know yourself better than anybody knows you. So as long as like you keep that in mind and you're like and if something doesn't happen, like I think the main thing is you can't take it personal at all because there are so many other factors that go into everything. But as humans, like it's so easy for us to take things personal. So
Yeah, and we compare ourselves to everyone else around us when we shouldn't. That's
yeah,
so unhealthy.
yeah. Because
I
as
mean,
soon as you start comparing, like you lose yourself, and like the thing that is special is yourself. So it's like it's weird. It's weird.
one of the most relatable songs, I don't know if you've listened to it, is Jealousy, Jealousy by Olivia Rodrigo. I'm like, oh my God.
What's it? Oh, jealousy, jealousy. Yeah, I know that song.
Olivia Rodrigo one that was just really, I'm like, that is so like to the T for this whole generation.
Yes, I honestly love that album.
It's so good. What's your favorite song on it?
Honestly, it might be good for you.
It's a bop.
Whenever I hear anybody say "good for you," I'm like, "Good for you!" I have to sing it.
I actually have, it's not in here, but I ordered the purple like brutal bucket hat thing online.
Yay!
These songs are jams. I'm a fan. So, do you have anything, whether it's theater related or not, that you were doing during this past year when the tour was paused that you would like to promote, talk about?
Yeah. Nothing really like to promote per se, but I spent a lot of the year like drawing and like my grandma actually passed away and like that was I found the only thing that I was able to do to sort of get through those emotions. Like it wasn't singing or anything, it was very much so drawing and like it's just that. But I also picked up the bass, like I started playing that. I also started taking online classes in like psychology because wanted to learn more about the brain, like why we do the things that we do. So I definitely picked up a lot of hobbies that I want to continue on with.
That's so cool that this year gave us all like opportunities to do things that we never really imagined that we'd be doing. It gave everyone time.
Yes, and that's what we needed.
Yes. So you're multi-talented in the arts. You can draw too.
I didn't realize I could draw though at all until this past year.
Oh
But yeah, it just feels like it feels really, really good to do that.
Oh, well, that's such a good release.
Yeah, but I guess anything like creative is good for people.
Yeah, I'm always impressed by people who can draw better than stick figures. So, like my cutoff is stick figures. I can't do it. I can maybe Photoshop, but
Nice. That's so good.
nothing else. So where can people find you on social media to keep up with you and to keep up with what you're doing?
I would say my Instagram. I don't know. I haven't been super active on it recently, but I am on there occasionally. I don't know. I just don't. I feel like once I'm on the app and I'm like scrolling, like I'm there. Like I'm there for so long. So I'm just trying to reduce my time spent on it. But I do like going on it, like to see like what my friends are doing and everything. So I am trying to be a little more active, but definitely my Instagram, which is just my name.
Well, hey, you probably weren't one of the ones freaking out opening Instagram like 500 times the other day when all the apps shut down.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
I feel everyone was just like, oh my God, it's the end of the world.
I was like, what do I do?
Like this generation. Like we cannot survive without social media, can we?
But also like those companies made it that way. Like they're like, we need to make these people like needing us all like, so I feel like we can't put the blame on like ourselves at all.
Someone was like, I bet this is like a ploy to like, so these companies are like, see, you need us to survive. And this is
Yeah.
like, just shutting down. So they were like, told you, you need us. Thank you for joining me to talk on my series today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed like talking to you and your questions and everything.
Of course. And for anyone watching, they should go see you on tour as Maureen because you are incredible. I saw you in 2019 at Pantages and your voice is outstanding.
Thank you. Thank you.
So go buy tickets. I'll put the link in the description for your social media and for where you can buy tickets for the tour. Thanks for watching this episode of Backstage with Becca B. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Becca B Talks TV. Or for more exclusive content from this interview and more, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Backstage with Becca B. Make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give me a 5-star rating. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time.